first guest, our opening keynote. Professor Michael Porter is the Bishop William Lawrence University Professor at Harvard Business School. A university professorship is the highest professional recognition that can be awarded to a Harvard faculty member. A leading authority on company strategy and competitiveness of nations and regions. A sought-after teacher, a notable author, founder of 3 nonprofits, a lover of sport. Please welcome to the stage, Professor Michael Porter.
Well, Kevin, thank you, and thank you all for being here. And I want to congratulate you, actually, Nick, and all of you for being here, for making this moment happen, for doing something that I think can be extraordinary. When I heard about this, as Nick will tell you, because we talked extensively about this meeting, it was impossible for me to be here, but I had to be here. Here I am. And I'm here because I think this field of sport, this huge field that has somehow a size beyond its size, I think is taking a fundamental step towards transforming the role it plays in society. And this is a journey that not only you as an industry are on, it's a journey that all business is on today in the world. What we find today at this moment of history is that there are lots of problems facing society. And we have never been so aware of these problems. Problems of nutrition, problems of poverty, problems of homelessness, problems of disability, problems of the environment. There's a whole raft of problems, and the awareness of these problems is growing and growing and growing. But we in business are facing a real challenge, and I think this applies to sport as well. There are more and more of our citizens that think that we in business are part of the problem, that we are causing these problems. I mean, there once was a view that a healthy business is good for the community. Now, many people believe that if we're making too much money in business, that's somehow a sign that we're actually not doing good for the community. There's this growing disconnect between success in business and success in the community, which has grown up over the last several decades, and I think is really threatening the very foundation on which our societies are constructed. We all know in this room, we all know that you can't have a healthy business without a healthy community. We know that there's some fundamental synergy between these things. We know we can't have a healthy business if there's a lot of societal problems surrounding that business. We know at a deep level that this synergy exists. But there's kind of a growing disconnect in the perception of the public about this synergy, and a growing skepticism. And so businesses in every field have understood that we in business have to engage. We have to engage in these societal issues. We have to engage in our communities. And they are engaging. And you are engaging. I've had a chance to look at the hundreds and hundreds of initiatives that are taking place in the sports field to try to engage with the community, to try to engage in these societal problems that we all are aware of. But the question we all face is, how do we do this in a way that we can be the most effective? How do we do this in a way that we can actually create value? It's great to be charitable. It's great to support worthy causes. It's great to feel good about the act of giving. That's not the point. The point isn't the giving. The point isn't the charity. The point is achieving impact, moving the needle, addressing these problems, not just being window dressing, not just being public relations. The challenge that all businesses are facing in dealing with these societal issues is, how do we go about it? How do we go about it to be the most effective? The challenge I have for all of you today is, how can you, in this field, go about this engagement in the most effective way? Now, if we look at the engagement of business in societal issues and social issues, we've been through a number of stages of how to do this. And let me just talk a little bit about those stages, because I feel and perceive you in this field passing through these stages yourself. Stage one is philanthropy. We have these societal problems. There's all these worthy causes. It's our duty to support these worthy causes. And many businesses have foundations. Many businesses encourage their employees to be generous and give themselves. Many organizations have volunteer programs and all kinds of efforts to really encourage people to be philanthropic, to be charitable. That's fantastic. That's good. We want to keep doing that. But ultimately, what we found from this approach, just thinking of it as the charitable approach, is that although it feels good, we tend to have limited impact. We only have so much money to give. We have only so much time to spend on volunteer programs. Everybody has their own idea of what a worthy cause is. And ultimately, at the end of the day, a lot of good is done, goodwill is created, we feel like we've done something, but yet ultimately the impact that we have is perhaps positive, but not substantial. That leads many businesses to kind of go further to stage two. Stage two is not just about giving, about supporting worthy causes, but actually it's a more holistic view of how an organization relates to the community. And the most common word to describe that or phrase is the notion of corporate social responsibility. Corporate social responsibility says that a business has a responsibility, a broader set of responsibilities to the communities in which it operates, and that includes philanthropy, supporting worthy causes. But it also includes being perceived as a corporate citizen, a citizen of the community, taking responsibility for the community and the institutions in the community. It also involves compliance with community standards. You know, there's a whole set of standards that's growing up around diversity, around disability, around environmental impact. And a corporate social responsibility approach tries to understand what those community standards are and make sure that the organization is complying and meeting those standards and behaving in the ways that are acceptable for a world-class business organization. Recognize this. You know, these are the stages that you in the sports field have been going through. I think you started predictably with a lot of philanthropic efforts. Now I see a more deeper commitment, a broader commitment to having the organizations engage in these broader ways. That is a natural path. This is what we have to continue doing. As we pursue the corporate social responsibility approach, however, we've also learned from many other businesses that we've got to do this in the right way. And the biggest lessons we've learned are when you're doing corporate social responsibility and when you're supporting community organizations, lesson number one is you've got to align it with your business. You need to be focusing on supporting and engaging in those things where it makes sense for your business, where there's some connection to your business. Because if it's related to your business, in this case sport, you bring more to the party than just money. If you're just giving money, if you're just complying with random rules, you're not going to be able to have as much impact as where it's something connected to what you do, where you can bring resources to the party that go beyond just the donation. And I see in the sports CSR activities an increasing recognition of this. More and more of the programs now are starting to connect better with sport. If you look back in time, a lot of them were just worthy causes. Lots of worthy causes where we as a sports team would bring nothing unique to the party, just our money or maybe our brands and our sizzle. but nothing more. Now I see more and more efforts in this industry to connect better, to align better with the business. Think about your community programs. Which ones are aligned with your business? Those are the ones that you're going to have the greatest impact in. The second thing we found about how to do this corporate social responsibility well is you've got to focus on measuring impact. The act of giving is not the point. It's the impact you achieve. So the good organizations that are doing this well are starting to measure actually how much they move the needle. Whatever the problem is, whatever the issue is, how much progress are we making? And are we getting good value? Are we getting good progress for the kind of investment we're making in that particular area? How much measurement are you all doing in your philanthropic activities, in your social responsibility activities? If your typical industry, you started slowly, but hopefully measurement is now ramping up. You're starting to measure value. One of the critical distinctions I think that organizations have to ultimately make about this community activity is it's really not about the giving, it's not about the reputation, that's all good, that's a byproduct. It's fundamentally about value. And we have to think about value very, very rigorously. But even this stage 2 of involvement or corporate engagement in the community is really not the ultimate endpoint. There's another stage. There's another stage that's just emerging. There's another stage that the very best organizations are just starting to understand. And that's a stage which I would call creating shared value. Corporate social responsibility really starts with a premise that first and foremost, we run our business, we make our money, but we set aside a little bit of the resources and profitability from our business and we allocate it to social things. That's the kind of CSR mindset. Creating shared value says, actually, in some areas, we can go farther. It's not about taking money from the business and investing it in something outside the business. It's actually connecting the social issue and the business itself. It's making the addressing of societal challenges and societal problems not a peripheral activity, but actually part of the ordinary course of doing business. And part of the profit model. Again, the thinking about corporate social responsibility is that it's inconsistent with profit. You take profit and put it in this other stuff. The very best organizations today have gone one step further. They found a way of how to turn their core businesses into engines to actually drive social change while reinforcing their profit, while reinforcing their economic model. This is the opportunity I think we have in sport. We need to do all three of these things. But ultimately, if we can migrate more and more of our societal activity towards this third stage, if we can integrate it into our business, it will be more sustainable. It won't be how much can we afford to spend this year. It'll be this reinforces our business. And it will also be scalable. The more it's not a donation, the more it's not a sort of allocating money to something else, quote unquote, the more we can grow and have impact of almost unlimited proportions. So how do we think about creating shared value? Well, there are really three ways to do it. One is the way you actually think about your product and what your product really is. The second is how you actually conduct your business. Go about conducting your business. How you operate every day in the ordinary course of business. And the third is how you think about the relationship between your organization and really the surrounding community and suppliers and institutions and other organizations really in your space. And in all three of these areas, we find businesses can drive important, substantial societal improvement while actually making their business better. And in many cases, more profitable. Now, when I say this, I just know what some of you are thinking. If I'm making money doing something, that can't be social responsibility. If I'm making money doing something, that's not as worthy as if I'm actually giving or donating money. Get that idea out of your mind. If you can turn your core business into something that actually directly drives social progress, that's the highest impact of all. That can solve society's problems. Just not make little dents in them, not just make put little bits of money into charitable donations. If we can actually make our business do this, as a business, we will have much more impact. Let me just give you a few examples because time is short, and then we'll talk a little bit about sports. In terms of reconceiving products, we have many examples of this. Many businesses produce products that can actually address fundamental social problems. Let's take the food industry. The food industry has seen itself as a food industry. But why can't they see themselves as the nutrition industry? And some food companies are starting to do this. They're starting to see that their job isn't to use their sophisticated marketing to get people to eat more stuff that isn't good for them. The food companies are now understanding that actually a better way of building their business is to understand that what their real product is nutrition and health and well-being for their customers. And if they use the same marketing talent and the same creativity to do that, they create shared value. They drive their business, they differentiate themselves, they differentiate their products, but they also benefit society at the same time. Using the profit model, not the charity model. Instead of supporting a few little nutrition NGOs, they actually become an engine for nutrition themselves. With their research, with their marketing. That's the distinction. Many businesses are finding that they've ignored important customers, underserved customers, lower income customers. And if they just realize that there's more customers out there that they just missed because they weren't serving those customers' needs, they can have a fundamental impact on disadvantaged communities, on communities in need, communities that have not had access to their products or the opportunities that their products create. That's shared value. Rethinking what your product is and who your customer is in a more holistic way in order to enable that community benefit. In terms of doing business, those of you here that went to business school, you've seen the value chain before. The value chain is just a way of describing how we operate. We do purchasing, we do training, we do operations, we do service delivery to deliver our product or service. And what we've come to understand is that we can transform that value chain in a way that has a profound impact on many of these social problems. If we just do business differently, we can save gobs of energy. We have sports teams that are starting to figure out that if you save energy, you make money. You make more money. It's not social. It's economic. It's both. We have more and more businesses that are understanding that they use resources effectively if they don't waste packaging, if they don't waste material, if they don't create a lot of garbage that has to be taken to the landfill. They can actually save money. They can actually make their business more efficient, by the way, and also address an important social problem. We found many organizations understanding that they need new relationships with their employees. If they can recruit effectively a diverse workforce, if they can develop that workforce and train that workforce effectively, they have a tremendous impact on the community, a positive impact on the community. Many organizations have understood that if they purchase differently, just not focus on the bargaining power of beating up their suppliers, but actually nurturing community-based suppliers who hire from the community. And if they can build the capabilities of those suppliers, they can actually, through just the way they do business every day, they can have a profound impact on jobs in their community. Again, we don't have to give to charitable causes to solve these problems. We in business can solve these problems by the way we do business. And by the way, we're learning over and over again that this will make us better businesses, more productive, more efficient, in many cases more profitable. You see the shift in mindset here? We can't see these societal problems as sort of outside of business or outside of sport. It's all inside. And if we can think of it that way and innovate in how we do things, we can engage, not out of charity, but out of this mutual benefit. And this mutual benefit is what ultimately will create solutions, not Band-Aids, not little bits and drabs of positivity among a sea of dysfunction. In terms of local cluster development, again, wherever we have a major facility like Yankee Stadium, we have a tremendous lever for transforming an entire economy, in a whole region, by affecting other organizations and related businesses, by affecting the people that are employed, the thousands of people that are employed here, and who those people are, and how we find them, and how we develop them, and how we train them. We have an enormous opportunity in sports because many of the facilities in the stadiums are in urban areas, often disadvantaged areas. We have an enormous opportunity to use that to drive a huge economic change in our surrounding neighborhoods, if we're smart, if we think about it from a shared value lens. If we don't just do the same old types of sourcing and partnering that we've done in the past, if we think very differently about how we can use our assets to transform the economic development of an entire region and affect directly or indirectly thousands and thousands of jobs. But guess what? If we can do that, it creates shared value. Don't we want the communities around our stadiums and facilities to be healthy and vibrant? Don't we want there to be good infrastructure? Don't we want there to be a good housing? Of course we do. It's in our interest. That's shared value. So the idea here is that let's keep doing the philanthropy in sports. Let's keep doing it. Let's keep getting our players to do it. Let's keep pursuing these CSR initiatives. Many of you are doing environmental compliance and you're trying to meet all the building green energy standards and all that sort of stuff. Let's keep doing that. Let's get better at it. Let's get better connected to our business. But let's also go to the third stage. Let's start now to stop thinking of the social stuff as outside. Let's understand that it's inside our business. And let's start to pioneer and innovate in creating shared value. Leading organizations are already starting to do this in sports. In terms of the product, I think we're starting to understand that our product is, first of all, our sport, spreading our sport, and there are many excellent programs to try to spread that sport with the benefits that achieves for both the individuals involved as well as for us. But I think we're also starting to see that in sport, our product is not just sport. It's also fitness. It's also wellness. And let's start thinking about how we could build our organizations into fitness and wellness and health organizations, not just sports organizations. And that can lead us into many other products and many other businesses that are very closely aligned to what we do, where we bring enormous strength and credibility, where we could really grow the impact over time. As we think about our value chains in sports, think about opportunities to transform the way we use energy, the way we use materials, the way we recruit and hire and develop our workforce, not out of charity, but out of interest in building our organization. You'll hear later today about the Pocono Raceway, who's managed to create a major energy generation facility just using solar, given all the space and opportunity they have to do that. They're saving a lot of money. They're creating shared value. And let's recognize how we can use our facilities better in our stadiums, in our procurement, in our real estate development to really drive a transformational change, which will be in our interest as well as the interest of those communities. Let's move to that next stage. There's a number of you that have started crossing that line between social responsibility and creating shared value. I encourage you, as you listen today, to listen for that distinction. Listen to those things that are focused on the business. Listen to those things that are integrated in the business. Those are the things that are going to move the needle. Those are the things that are going to have the real impact. Again, congratulations, Nick, for making this happen. Congratulations to all of you for being here. It's exciting to see this industry stepping up and starting to ramp up and have higher aspirations for its role in the community. You, like all other industries, are being faced with some cynicism about how much money everybody's making and, are you really good for the community and is this really good for society, what you're doing? The only way we're going to deal with that cynicism and skepticism is not by giving donations. Donations don't work. They're not going to fix our reputation in sports or our reputation in business. The way we're going to fix that, the way we're going to really win the respect of society is by what we actually do as organizations, what we actually accomplish as organizations. And what I believe is that businesses like us, like you, acting as businesses, not as charitable donors, are the most powerful force for social change. The more we can integrate social progress into our business models, into how we do business, the more impact we will have, the more scalability we will find. As you go through this day, as you think about your own league, your own team, your own sport, let's bring that higher wattage approach to this challenge. And I am absolutely certain that this industry can be a role model for all others, given all the assets you have. Thank you for your attention, and let's have a phenomenal day in moving this agenda forward.